But together, they bring you sports like you've never heard before. The Wait a Minute Show, a new way of discussing today's trending sports topics. And now, back to the show with your host, Jolani J.B. Bodie.
Indeed! Ladies and gentlemen, we are back from the break. Again, it's the Wait a Minute Show with your man, Jelani J.B. Bodie, and we are back on Basketball Talk. And the listeners, the Wait a Minute Show listeners have spoken. The Celtics are who we thought they were. So they catching this work. They down by 20, so, I think it's the fourth quarter. At this point. So we're going to stop talking about them. But we are going to continue to talk about Nuggets versus Blazers. So this has been a pretty surprising, not surprising, I should say, a pretty interesting series that's been going on between the Nuggets and the Blazers. Nuggets, number 2 in the Western Conference. I think a lot of people had questions about this team. You didn't get to see them a lot, and there wasn't a lot of hype, especially coming into the season about Denver and what they could do. But they won the games. They did the hard work as far as like what you're supposed to do, winning the games. Trailblazers. Their whole thing was just really, getting out of the first round. So they did that. These teams met. We also got another great series going on with this one. The Nuggets came off a 7-game series with San Antonio. So now they're in another battle with the Portland Trailblazers. And last night, they give the beatdown to the Portland Trailblazers of 124-98. And led by Jokic for the Denver Nuggets. He poured in 25 points, but also right there with him was Paul Millsap with 24. Let me tell you something, that I just want to let people know about, Paul Millsap. Paul Millsap is a very, very, very smart person, but also a very good basketball player that plays in the NBA. And he has this thing for, going to teams that you don't have the greatest confidence in the world, and he goes there, and that team improves their winning percentage. And he was originally in Utah, and I remember when he came here to Atlanta, and he was their big free agent, acquisition. And I saw his game, in Utah, and I was like, this guy really can play. I think it's going to transition over. And he turned it into, a couple all-star appearances and also a 60-win team here in Atlanta. They were always in the playoffs. Whether they were in contention for a championship, that's another conversation, which, I guess we could say no at this point. But he was part of a team that was always in the mix for being in the playoffs. And then he leaves Atlanta and he goes to Denver. And I'm like scratching my head. I'm like, Denver? Of all people, all places, he going to Denver? Like, I would have thought he would have went somewhere else. But, yeah, I think he saw what was, going on with this team. And they added, guys like, Jokic and, Jamal Murray. You got Barton, and other guys that's on this team that they're players. They are players. And this is why, this series is going to go 7 games, because Portland has the same thing. Players. They got players that play. No one has the mega superstar. You could say the biggest superstar probably on that, in that entire series is Damian Lillard. But no one has a mega superstar. There's no James Harden. There's no KD. There's no LeBron. There's no Giannis or anything like that. You got guys that just can play. Last night, I don't know what happened, with the Blazers. But the one thing the Blazers have done, even in the OKC series, is that they have bounced back from bad games. So I totally believe that they're going to be able to bounce back from this game and put in a performance that is going to send them to a 7-game series 4, a chance to go to the Western Conference Finals and see the winner of the Rockets and Warriors series. So Damian Lillard, he had 22, which, is not too bad, but barring the situation, you would want more from him, but still wouldn't have did, much good. But not Damon, but C.J. McCollum, he had 12 points. And then they were not getting the production that they had got earlier from Cantor. He only had 7 points. But to me, that Cantor stuff was a bonus. This is the Cantor I think we all were expecting, to see. He's not going to be a guy that was going to replace Nurkic, for what they lost. He gave them great minutes. He gave them, some nice performances. Which is what you need from your role players. I wasn't expecting Cantor to do this day in and day out, but he is basically back to regular Enes Kanter, if you will. And he's also dealing with an injury, too. So, but these two teams going into the next series or next game, I should say, there will not be a blowout. There will be probably under 5 points. This game will be tight. Again, it's an elimination game. Someone could be going home, and that could be the Portland Trail Blazers, because this series is 3-2 right now. And if the Nuggets win, do not be surprised if whoever they see, Golden State or Houston, if they give them a run for their money. There's one thing to be said about a young team that really don't know, the situation of what they're in. They know, who they would be playing, especially if they saw, the Warriors. But there's something to be said for young players that hold pressure or expectations, I should say. If there's no expectations, then how they can play, freely and play for each other and no finger pointing or anything. And then you do still have the maturity and the leadership, of your coach and of your veteran players. So I think we're going to have 2 7-game series. I think, I'm going to call it. You know what? I'm going to book it. 2 7-game series. Golden State will win. Rockets will win. And then they'll go 7 games. And then next game, Trailblazers are going to tie this thing up, so it goes to 7 games. So all of us basketball fans get exactly what we want, and we get 2 Game 7s with a trip to the Western Conference Finals on the line. So yesterday, there just happened to be a game. And again, another blowout, and this was Toronto versus the Philadelphia 76ers, and Philly got the business given to them. Both of these teams are kind of the same, though. It's if they play to their ability, you get these type of games. But Philly didn't do any. They didn't help themselves either. Only scoring 89 points, on this team is definitely unacceptable. You had nothing pretty much from almost everybody except for Jimmy Butler. Ben Simmons is still missing at this point. He only gave you 7 points. And then you got your bench guy, Mike Scott, 10 points. That's not too bad. But Joel Embiid, 13. And I'm going to say this right now, and I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way, about the Joel Embiid thing, because people have been talking about Joel talking about his illness, and people are, maybe a little bit tired of him mentioning it, or he's bringing it up too much. I get what, people are, this is what people are saying. You're sick. You whatever it is, you're sick. You're ill, whatever. It's affecting, you're not 100%. Let's just say that. But everyone, this is definitely true. No one is. People always got something going on. And I just think, it's when you're bringing it up, because if you guys won those games, you're not bringing it up. But you're losing a game and you're bringing it up. So it's just like, don't even worry about it. Don't mention it. Just leave it alone and say, I didn't play well. And it has nothing to do with the illness. Because if you go out there, you're basically saying you're good. We know Joel Embiid is not good. He still has the knee issue as well. this is where Ben Simmons is supposed to come in. This team is up and down, down and up. When they are up, they give you amazing performances. When they are down, like down. So this team, you cannot navigate through the playoffs up and down. It has to be steady. It has to be one thing, or it has to be on a slow upward trajectory if you're going to do anything. But this series is probably over too. I think Toronto kind of took their heart, if you will, or took a little something from them on that game, giving them the business like that, and they are going to be ready to try and end this, because right now Milwaukee is in it. And the last thing you want, again, I say this all the time, is that if the team that you're supposed to meet or you're in position to meet and they win the day before you need to win that following day if you have that opportunity, so that they are not getting rest and you are not playing against someone another time and putting more wear and tear on your body or running the risk of getting injured or an injury that's going to derail your season. So Eastern Conference, it's going to be over quick. I think if Toronto's going to go ahead and close them out on their home court, they will get booed. Philly fans will be upset, and they'll have to lay low for a while. Let's just say that. Last thing we're going to talk about, on here, and you listen to the Wait a Minute show with your man, Jelani J.B. Bodie. We got about 15 minutes before Warriors and Rockets kick off, but we're going to talk about the Warriors and these rumors that's out there about the Warriors. KD stuff has been talked about ad nauseum. Everyone believes that KD is leaving. As time has went on, maybe it's just because people talked about it, and it kind of talked me into it. But I do believe, myself, that KD is probably leaving, after this, whether they win or not. So now the rumor that's out there is about Klay not being happy. Now, which is very, surprising, because Klay is a very easygoing guy. But I guess maybe some of this is maybe they show more love to KD, not jealousy, but it's just like, look, I contribute to this team majorly as well. I need some of that, love to come, my way. Or maybe he's thinking that he's not going to get paid what he think he should make, for a guy of his capability. It could be he's getting wooed by other teams. But Klay also could just see the writing on the wall. Look at this situation. Again, I'm going to paint a picture for you again, like we did earlier. And let's just say I can predict the future. KD leaves, right? KD leaves. That leaves Klay, Draymond, and Steph, and Iguodala. Because Sean Livingston is leaving, and, I'm sure they'll do some other roster management. You got to make a decision on DeMarcus Cousins, what you're going to do, if you're going to bring him back, or you're trying to put him into this equation. Chances are they probably don't. So then you left with your nucleus. Remember, that team was not as dominant. Even though they had the 73-9 season, that team was not as just dominant as it is now. KD leaves, and then let's say Klay leaves. Klay might be looking at, we're not going to be able to do this without, KD. Everybody is getting better. We just talked about the Nuggets. The Nuggets could be a team that you have to watch out for the next few years. Portland is going to be there. OKC is probably going to show up somewhere in that mix, probably at the bottom, though. But if LeBron and them figure this thing out and they finally actually do get it right, then you got the Lakers that you got to worry about. The Clippers, they traded away all their players, but somehow, some way, they still got into the playoffs, and they came back from 31 points down on the Lakers. So maybe Klay is looking at this thing as that, look, this is on a downward. We had a good run. They win the championship this year. We got 4 rings out of it.